Hey there, welcome everybody to our regulation season finale of TXN Sports World. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher. Our final regulation show before the return of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday next week. But before we get to that, we are going to preview not only the upcoming college football season, but we're also going to preview the NFL season as well. For those of you who are new to this. So, all right. So we're gonna start with the college game and Power Four conferences and Notre Dame. That's how we're gonna do it. And then our division by division preview for the NFL. So without any further ado, let's dive on in. College football, and we're gonna start it off with the ACC. In the fight for relevancy in college football, the ACC has settled into a competitive space within the power conference hierarchy. Every year, though, is a battle to prove itself. Miami carried the banner well last season, finishing as the runner-up in the college football playoff. However, the journey was anything but straightforward and led to the ACC adjusting some of its own tiebreaker rules. That change, along with another tweak in league format, are two major storylines on the horizon. Duke is the reigning ACC champion, but Miami is set to enter the 2026 season as the league frontrunner. Will the Canes match the hype, or will a different program reign over the ACC? Games to keep an eye on this season. It starts next Saturday, the game of the week. Clemson and LSU. Also on September the 6th, the next night, Labor Day weekend, Louisville versus Ole Miss in Nashville. A huge game on November the 7th, Miami at Notre Dame. November 21st, SMU at Notre Dame. And on November 28th, the Battle of Georgia, Georgia Tech at Georgia. Clemson and Louisville are aiming to make week one statements against SEC opponents. Later on, Miami has a much anticipated rematch with Notre Dame after winning the 2025 matchup, and at the last second, even if it shouldn't have taken that long, jumping Notre Dame in the final CFP rankings. The top and those are just non-conference games. Top conference games: September 19th, SMU at Louisville. October 3, Miami at Clemson. October 17, Virginia at SMU. And also on that same day, Florida State and Miami. And October 24, Virginia Tech and Clemson. It's safe to say both SMU and Louisville are eager to collect an early ACC victory that may prove critical in season end tiebreakers. Really, that's the feeling around most of these games, no matter if Miami dominates the league or not. And best of the rest. Saturday, North Carolina State at Virginia. On Labor Day night, SMU at Florida State. September 26th, Wake Forest at Louisville. October 2, Pittsburgh at Virginia Tech. October 3, Louisville, NC State. October 24, Pittsburgh at Miami. And November 14th, Duke at Miami. Call these the separation games on the schedule. You want to be taken seriously as a conference threat? You probably can't afford to have multiple of these head-to-head matchups go against you. Also, Duke travels to Miami after losing quarterback Darian Mensah and receiver Cooper Barkett to the Canes. That's a revenge game and then some. So, looking at the landscape of the conference, I got to go Boston College in last at 17, Stanford at 16, North Carolina 15, Duke 14, Wake Forest 13, Syracuse 12, California 11, Florida State 10, Pittsburgh 9, Virginia Tech 8, Georgia Tech 7, NC State 6, Clemson 5, Louisville 4, Virginia 3, SMU 2. It's Miami. I think Miami wins the ACC, And I would not be surprised if we see them in the champion. And matter of fact, I think the championship game, my projected title game, it is going to be Miami versus SMU, with Miami winning. So I think Miami, no question about it, the team to beat in the ACC. And November 7th, that huge game at Notre Dame, that's going to be the telling. That's going to be the make or break right there. So give Miami, give you to win the ACC. So MF, another regulation season of TXN Sports World about to come to a close here tonight. And then next week, business picks up. The return of college football Thursday, and then the NFL after that the following week. So ACC, who you got?
I'm actually with some agreements, and there's some disagreements where I project on this one. Starting off at the bottom, I do agree it will be Boston College. Then I have Stanford at the second to last spot. Then I have Syracuse above them. This is where I think we differ. I got North Carolina in the fourth to the bottom. I'm not sold on Bill Belichick and that team. I know some people are a little higher on them. I'm not buying it, and I don't think so. I think Wake Forest is also going to fall a little bit down here. So I got them fifth from the bottom. I got Florida State lower than you have, Anthony. I'm not sold on them either. Georgia Tech, I have above Florida State. Then I got California above Georgia Tech. Duke there. I have Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is going to be a surprise. I think Pittsburgh's going to do all right. I got NC State after that. Virginia. Tech after that. This is where my top five goes. And my top five are Virginia Tech in 5. I got Clemson 4. I got Louisville 3. And yes, I do agree. SMU is 2. Miami is number 1. And I do believe Miami will win the ACC. Not only do I believe that they'll win the ACC, I could make an argument that Miami could be a threat for the national championship. So that's my prediction. Anthony, let's get to the next conference.
Beyond the shadow of a doubt, hands down, I don't give a crap what anybody says. This next conference is the best is the best of the best right here. For nearly 2 decades, the SEC held an inarguable place atop college football. Recently, however, the Big Ten has shifted the conversation. Indiana put together an incredible year en route to its first ever championship last season, giving the conference 3 national championships in a row. Michigan in 2023 and Ohio State in 2024 hoisted the previous 2 championships. Will the Big Ten's reign continue in 2026? Thanks to Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon, with several other well-respected teams such as Michigan, Penn State, and USC, the league has plenty of talent. MF, there's no question about it. Right now, the best conference in college football right now, it is the Big Ten. They've won the last 3 titles. Do I dare say 4 in a row this year? Could be.
It's very possible, but I will say this. If you heard this I'm going to tell you, you're going to get a lot of pushback from my Discord friends, especially because a few of them are SEC guys. So I know when this gets out, they're going to be hopping mad. But I'm with you, Anthony. I've been harping about the Big Ten, saying how great they've been for the last few years. And without a doubt, you are correct. The Big Ten has unequivocally, undeniably, and undisputably been the best conference in college football. And there's nobody that can say that. 3 consecutive national title wins in their under their belt That makes them definitely the creme a la creme of college football right now. It's either going to be a Big Ten or SEC that could end up winning the whole damn thing. But right now, the Big Ten is the number one conference in America when it comes to it. All right. Now, breaking down the bracket wise, or how we're going to bring this down, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 teams. Okay. In 18th place, it's Purdue. In 17th place, I got Michigan State. 16, Northwestern. 15 is Rutgers. 14 is Nebraska. 13, Wisconsin. 12, Minnesota. 11, Maryland. Now we're in the top 10. Starting 10th, UCLA. 9th will be Illinois. 8, Washington. 7, Iowa. 6, USC. Now we're in the top 5. 5th, Michigan. Penn State 4. 3 will be Indiana, the reigning and defending champions. Number 2, Ohio State. My pick to win the Big Ten this year is Oregon. I think the Oregon Ducks is without a doubt probably the most explosive team. Now, you can make an argument for Ohio State to be at the end, and you won't be mad, and I won't bat an eye on it. But you can make an argument. There's a 3-horse race between Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State. It could fluctuate 1, 2, 3. Obviously, you can say, the Penn State fans are like, hey, wait a minute, what about us? I still need to see something from Penn State. Even though they're great, I think they're going to have a lot of wins. They may have an outside shot at the playoff. Outside shot. I don't believe they will. Michigan, the reason why I think Michigan is going to they're going to end up in the top 5 is I think their schedule is good, but there's some potholes there that they could get tripped up. And there's one game early on against Oklahoma. Oh, I don't know. That can go a number of different ways. If Michigan wins that game, then we're talking about maybe top 3. But overall, I just don't know if they got what it takes. And I'm a Michigan guy, so I'm going to keep it 100. So I think Oregon is going to win the Big Ten. Obviously, you can make an argument for Indiana. You can make an argument for Ohio State. Heck, you can make an argument for Penn State. It's a 4-horse race. I know some people in Iowa is going to be like, you just snubbed us. Why? Great defense. I don't have that much faith in the offense, though. And this has always been their bugaboo. They always have really good defenses, but offensively, Anthony, Iowa has always never really put it together. And I'm not sold on Iowa. So that's why I kind of dropped them down. SC can definitely make some waves. So can Michigan. But I think it's a 3-horse race. You could add Penn State there, but I'm not 100% about that. Right now, like I said, it's between Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. To me, personally, I think Oregon's going to win the Big Ten. So it's yours, Anthony.
Let's take a look at, just like I did with the ACC, the notable games coming up. Non-conference games. Starting that Saturday, September the 5th, Boise State at Oregon. That's a good non-conference game right there. September the 6th, opening week, Labor Day weekend. We're getting the Apple Cup. Can you imagine that? We're getting the Apple Cup right out of the box. Washington State at Washington. And of course, also that Sunday, the game of that Sunday, for me anyways, Notre Dame versus Wisconsin at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And then September the 12th, MF mentioned it, Oklahoma at Michigan. And on top of that, guess what we're also getting on September the 12th? Ohio State and Texas. An obvious pick is the rematch of Ohio State and Texas, a potential top 5 clash, although week 2 also features a rematch of Oklahoma and Michigan. Oregon kicks off the season with leading group of 6 contender Boise State. When it comes to the best games in the conference, in-house, September 26th, Oregon at USC in the Coliseum. Ooh. October 3rd, Ohio State and Iowa. October 17th, Ohio State in Indiana. October 24th, Indiana at Michigan. And how about November the 7th, Oregon at Ohio State? Basically, the Big Ten's most anticipated games are Ohio State showdowns with IU and Oregon play plus the quote-unquote who's for real contests. Do we believe in USC? Have to beat Oregon? Are we underestimating Iowa? Win a big game at home? Will Michigan stay in the picture? Knock off Indiana? And the best of the rest in the Big Ten, September 26th, Iowa at Michigan. October 10th, USC at Penn State. November 7th, Penn State at Washington. November 14th, USC at Indiana. November 21st, Indiana at Washington. And then November 28th, you got Washington at Oregon. And last but not least, the game, Michigan at Ohio State in the Horseshoe. These matchups fit that latter category as well. Iowa or Michigan will secure a valuable early win, while one of USC or Penn State will follow suit a couple weeks later. November then brings some critical opportunities for Indiana and Washington, along with the game, wrapping up the Big Ten calendar as usual. So now, my projected order of finish. 18 is Purdue. 17 is Northwestern. 16 is Michigan State. 15 is Rutgers. 14 is Maryland. 13 is Minnesota. 12 is Wisconsin. 11 is Illinois. 10 is Nebraska. 9, UCLA. 8, USC. 7, Washington. 6, Michigan. 5, Iowa. 4, Penn State. And then for the big 3, I have number 3, Indiana. Number 2, Ohio State. And number 1, yes, MF, I do agree, I have Oregon. And I think it will be Oregon versus either Ohio State or Indiana for the Big Ten championship. And right now, I believe Oregon is the team to beat when it comes to the Big Ten. So that's the Big Ten. Next up, we're going to get into the Big 12. And of course, just let me get my stuff up here for one moment here. All right, Big 12. Okay. Within a game built for chaos, the Big 12 has become a perennial source of intrigue and unpredictability in college football. One thing we know, however, is Texas Tech has become the villain. The reigning league champions had a drama-filled offseason and enter as the clear preseason favorite. The rest of the conference is aiming to track down and displace the Red Raiders in 2026. As the campaign nears, the expected threats are rivals BYU and Utah, but a rising Houston team, resurgent Kansas State program, and Oklahoma State squad are just 3 of the many candidates in a fascinating Big 12 outlook. So taking a look at the big games of the Big 12 season, best non-conference games, opening week, Auburn versus Baylor in Atlanta. September 12th, Oregon at Oklahoma State. September 12th, Arkansas at Utah. September 19th, Tulane at Kansas State. And October 17th, good one here, Notre Dame at BYU. In the early stages of non-conference action, Baylor and Utah are slated to take on SEC teams. Oklahoma State is set to meet Oregon for a massive test of the Pokes' revamped roster. And K-State hosts Tulane, a playoff team in 2025. BYU's national reputation could be at stake when Notre Dame comes to Provo. Top games in-house, in-conference, September 18, Houston at Texas Tech. October 3, BYU at TCU. October 10th, Houston at Kansas State. October 17th, Arizona State at Texas Tech. And November 7th, BYU at Utah. Houston has a proven opportunity at Texas Tech in Week 3, and that result will influence early expectations. Otherwise, the conference has many potential swing games leading to 2026's edition of the Holy War between BYU and Utah. And the best of the rest. September 12th, Arizona at BYU. Halloween, October 31, Arizona State at BYU. November 7th, Oklahoma State at Kansas State. November 21st, Utah at TCU. And November 26th, Texas Tech at TCU. If you align with the belief of, quote unquote, we basically know nothing about the Big 12, and I wouldn't blame you at all, you could plug any matchup here. These selections lean on key opportunities for presumed second and third tier teams. So looking at who I believe comes out of the conference, we got 16 teams, and at 16, I have Iowa State. 15, I have Colorado. 14 is Baylor. 13 is Cincinnati. 12 is UCF. 11 is Kansas. 10, West Virginia. 9, Arizona State. 8, Oklahoma State. 7, Arizona. 6, TCU. 5 is Utah. 4 is Kansas State. 3 is Houston. And I got a toss-up between BYU and Texas Tech. But right now, I believe BYU is 2, and I got to go with Texas Tech. And I would not at all be surprised if it is Texas Tech and BYU battling it out for the Big 12 championship. But for right now, those are the two best teams, but I got to give a slight edge to Texas Tech when it comes to who's the best in the Big 12. So that's my thought on it. So, MF, Big 12, I got Texas Tech coming out of it. What says you?
I'm in an agreement that I think Texas Tech will win the conference. Where I do differ with you, Anthony, is the finishing order, but I do believe that it's going to be very interesting to watch. Last place or the 16th team is Colorado. I got West Virginia in 15, Iowa State in 14. Cincinnati in 13, Kansas 12, UCF 11, Baylor 10, Arizona State is 9, Oklahoma State 8, TCU 7, Houston 6, Arizona 5, K-State 4, Utah 3, BYU 2, and yes, I do have Texas Tech at the end at number 1. So that is mine's. So next up, well, only the Southeastern Conference, otherwise known as the SEC. Anthony, it is yours.
Is the SEC the nation's deepest conference? Absolutely, it should be once again. But is it the best? Well, we'll find that out at the end. The Big Ten could just use the old playground comeback. Scoreboard. The last 3 national champions all hail from that rival league to the north, with Michigan, Ohio State, and last year's unbeaten Indiana Hoosiers hoisting the trophy. Before that run, the SEC had won 13 of the last 17 national championships. Now, though, the league with the most NFL talent year in and year out is looking to get back to the podium. It's not going to get any easier either, with the conference moving to a 9-game schedule and the argument that the teams, quote-unquote, just beat up on themselves, strengthening. The SEC is, however, loaded with potentially elite teams once again. Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M will be very good. Others like Oklahoma, LSU, Alabama, and possibly even Tennessee and South Carolina could be strong. But can one of them reach the top? Let's take a look at what to expect from the SEC in 2026. MF, SEC, who you got?
All right. We start out from the bottom, work our way up to the top like we always do. At the bottom, I'm sorry, Kentucky, but that's where you are. Then we go to Arkansas. Second from the bottom, Arkansas has always been a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type team. Some years they're really, really good. Other years not so great, but we'll see. Mississippi State goes right behind them. They will be, this will be another team that could definitely make a threat, could be very interesting to watch, but I just don't see them making much of a run here. After that, you got Auburn. I really feel, and I'm sorry to say that, but I think Auburn's going to struggle this year. I think they, too many variables, too many teams that they lost along the way. I just don't feel like they're going to have much of a run. Vanderbilt was the surprise last year. They surprised a few teams, but I think this year is not going to be their year. I think they're going to get exposed, and I think they're going to fall outside of the top 10 this year. So they're gonna have a rough go at it, to say the very least. Then after that, I got South Carolina behind them. The Gamecocks have done all right. They're not been great, but they've been all right. Now we're gonna come to the creme a la creme, starting with Florida. I think Florida's gonna have a good season. They should have over 6 wins for the year. I think they could make some noise. A couple of here and there upsets, but I don't think they're going to make much of a run here. Then you got Ole Miss. I think the Lane Kiffin situation is going to affect them. I don't think they're going to have as an explosive team as they did a year ago. Remember, Ole Miss made a big run at the national championship, and they lost to Miami in a 5-star classic. I don't see that happening this year for Ole Miss. I think they're not even going to make the playoff, in my opinion. Then you got Missouri, Mizzou. Again, another good team. I just don't feel like they're going to be as dangerous as they normally would be. So I got them kind of on the outside looking in. Behind them, Oklahoma. This is going to be very interesting because, like we said, earlier in the year, they got to play Michigan. How do they play against the Wolverines? And then that SEC schedule, if you saw, Anthony, is brutal. That, like you said, knocking teams out is going to be the key here. And once you get into that, so I got them finishing 7th in the conference. 6th overall, Tennessee, Rocky Top. I think they're going to have a good run at it. I think they're going to make some good wins. But once you get to the big boys, I don't think Tennessee is going to hang, and I think this is where they're going to fall. 5th, Alabama. Now, I know this is going to stir a hornet's nest with a couple of people that I know because they are very high on Alabama, but I just don't think they got what it takes to make a run here. They're going to have some good wins, but once you get to the top 4, I don't know. I think they might be in trouble. 4th, Texas A&M. The Aggies were really good last year, got an unfortunate break and losing in their game. I think they lost to Miami and got knocked out of the tournament. That was an unfortunate for them because they had that game in hand. They could have won that game, but some miscues along the way, and it knocked them right out. 3rd, LSU. I think they're going to have a great season. I think with Lane Kiffin now in LSU, I think he's going to revitalize this team to the standard that they were looking for. However, there's only 2 teams that are better than this. Number 2, Longhorns, Texas. I think Arch Manning is going to take that next step to being a superstar in college football. I think they are going to be one of those teams that's going to be really good. At the end, I like what they're going to do, but there's only one at the top. We're going to the hedges of Athens. The maiden Georgia Bulldogs should win the conference and be the SEC champions again. Anthony, if there's one team, in my opinion, that is the most complete team in this conference, it's Georgia. Offensively, stout, explosive, unbelievable. Defensively, stout, explosive, unbelievable. out of every team in this SEC in the SEC, Georgia is the one that will keep me up at night with nightmares because this team is so damn good, in my opinion. Georgia wins the conference. Anthony, it is yours.
Oh man. All right. Just bear with me for just a moment here. I'm just getting things set up here. Okay. All right. I was just setting up for our NFL preview coming up. So okay. Let's break down the SEC, by how we've been doing it, the must see games of the season. We have for non-conference 2 huge games on opening. Well, we got 3 big games on opening weekend. 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. I mentioned it earlier. I'll mention it again. Next week, when we have our season premiere of College Football Thursday, we have our game of the week. It's Clemson and LSU. That's the game of the week next week. And on top of that, we've also got earlier in that day, Baylor versus Auburn in Atlanta. And then Sunday, September the 6th, Louisville versus Ole Miss at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. September the 12th, mark that on your calendar, September the 12th. Listen to these matchups. Oklahoma at Michigan. Tennessee at Georgia Tech. The game of the week for week number 2, I'm already calling it. Ohio State and Texas. And then you got Arkansas at Utah. September the 19th, Florida State and Alabama on September 19th. November 27th, on Black Friday, the Battle of Florida. Florida and Florida State. And then on that weekend, and then that Saturday, the Battle of Georgia, Georgia Tech and Georgia. Battle of Kentucky, and the Battle of South Kakalaki, South Carolina and Clemson. College football hits us with some nice little warm-ups during week 1 to whet our appetites, with Clemson traveling to LSU as well as Baylor meeting Auburn in Atlanta. And we'll know a bit about both sets of Tigers after those tilts. Louisville and Ole Miss meeting in Nashville is a sneaky showdown as well. The next weekend, though, is massive. Everybody wants to watch Ohio State head to Austin to take on Texas in a rematch of national title contenders. Oklahoma heads to the Big House to face Michigan in another SEC Big Ten showdown. And Tennessee travels to Atlanta to face Georgia Tech. Ryan Silverfield's first game at Arkansas will be in Salt Lake City against Utah in a tough test. After those first 2 weekends, though, all we have in the way of marquee out-of-conference games, Florida State coming to Alabama in week 3. Rivalry weekend gives us the next taste of non-SEC grudge matches. Heavyweight showdowns in the SEC. Oh, my goodness. Where do we start? September 19th, LSU at Ole Miss. Florida at Auburn. Another day to circle on the calendar, September 26th, Oklahoma at Georgia. Texas A&M at LSU. South Carolina at Alabama. And Texas and Tennessee. Look at October the 10th. Georgia at Alabama. Texas A&M at Missouri. And last but certainly not least, MF, our game. You know the one. The Red River rivalry. Texas and Oklahoma. Oh, boy. October 17, Missouri at Ole Miss. How about Alabama and Tennessee? Remember 2022, anyone? The game of the year in the 2022 season when Tennessee shocked the world and beat the mighty Bama 52-49 in a 5-star Shakespearean drama classic. October 24, Ole Miss at Texas. Texas A&M at Alabama. Tennessee at South Carolina. On Halloween, we got the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Florida and Georgia in Jacksonville. November 7, Georgia at Ole Miss. Texas at Missouri. Texas A&M at South Carolina. Alabama at LSU. November 14th, Missouri at Georgia. Texas at LSU. Tennessee at Texas A&M, Ole Miss at Oklahoma. November 21, Georgia at South Carolina, Texas A&M at Oklahoma, LSU at Tennessee. Black Friday, Texas and Texas A&M. And then November 28th, Oklahoma at Missouri, and the Iron Bowl, Auburn and Alabama. It's almost as if the SEC scheduling gods knew we simply couldn't wait. Right off the bat on September 19, we've got the game we all want to see. Lane Kiffin returning to Oxford as LSU coach to take on the Ole Miss team he built into a playoff team a season ago. That game will captivate the entire nation, but it's only the beginning. The very next weekend, maybe the biggest of the year, as the Sooners head to Athens, the Aggies descend on Death Valley, South Carolina gets tested right away in Tuscaloosa, and Texas enters a hostile Neyland Stadium environment. Following a bit of a down weekend on October 3, Georgia plays at Alabama the next weekend, and we get the Red River rivalry as well. In a 9-game schedule, there are no cakewalks, and that means high-quality games for us fans every single weekend. If you love SEC football, you will get a heaping helping of it this year. Game after game of intensity dot the calendar all the way through October and November. Now, as far as who's coming out of it, let's see. Arkansas last, Mississippi State, then it's Kentucky. Vanderbilt takes a bit of a step back after a great year last year. And then from there, we got Missouri, Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, Oklahoma, LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Texas, Georgia. MF is right. It's Georgia. I mean, I got Georgia. I have Georgia and Texas meeting for the championship. But a sneaky team to watch for is Ole Miss. Ole Miss could end up being a spoiler here. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Ole Miss in the SEC championship game against Georgia or Texas. It's definitely one of those three. But for right now, based on the body of work over the last few years and name recognition alone, how could it not be the Maine and Georgia Bulldogs? Their two biggest threats, in my opinion, are Texas and Ole Miss. There is no question about that. So that's the story on that. We have one last order of business to attend to when it comes to college, and that is the projections of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in 2026. A lot of controversy because of the fact that they got left out of the college football playoff. A whole big hullabaloo went down about it. A lot of people not happy, including myself and Brian Keenan. But, it is what it is, and it's water under the bridge. It's by the wayside. But at the end of the day, though, this is a new season now. And let's take a look at it. Taking a look at Notre Dame's schedule. But first, let me get into the key strengths here. Expectations are high due to a strong returning core, standout secondary play under defensive coordinator Chris Ash, and quarterback CJ Carr stepping into a major leadership role. Matter of fact, right now, CJ Carr is the betting line favorite to win the Heisman Trophy this year. Man, could you imagine Notre Dame getting a Heisman Trophy winner this year? That would be something. That has not happened in a very, very long time. But I'm going to tell you something here. Loaded defense led by All-America quarterback Leonard Moore and defensive coordinator Chris Ash, alongside an explosive offense steered by Heisman candidate CJ Carr. Favorable schedule features marquee games on the road at BYU and a huge home game against Miami. A lot of analysts, I have seen a lot of analysts, they are very high on Notre Dame this year. Notre Dame is that one team that if they make the college football playoff, you do not want to see them. I have seen experts from the likes of Joel Klatt to Kirk Herbstreit, Joey Galloway, Nicole Auerbach from NBC, just to name a few, who have gone on the record. Even Rick Neuheisel went on the record, and all these experts, believe it or not, have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish winning the national championship this year. They enter this season with some extremely high expectations. I mean, another great analyst, Josh Pate, he's very high on them as well. I mean, you never know with this team. I mean, you look at the schedule. They started off at Lambeau Field against the Wisconsin Badgers, Sunday night, September the 6th. Looking at this schedule here from top to bottom, there are 3 games I'm worried about. I'm not worried about Wisconsin. I'm not worried about the home opener against Rice on September the 12th. I'm not worried about Michigan State. Not worried about Purdue. Not worried about North Carolina. Not worried about Stanford. They should open the season 6-0. But October the 17th at BYU. That's the first game where we're going to find out if this team is worthy of all these high expectations and high praise. Watch that BYU game. Halloween against Navy at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Notre Dame, for some odd reason, whenever they play a neutral site game, they not only win, they end up dominating.
They win big. Yeah, they win big.
And I think they'll do that again against Navy. The game to determine if this team truly is for real. November 7th, 7:30, under the lights at Notre Dame Stadium, when they welcome the Miami Hurricanes. Be forewarned, you fans, when it comes to the U. The Notre Dame fan base is going to absolutely lambaste them. They're going to roast them. They're going to toast them. And they're going to burn them to a crisp. They are going to get booed out of Notre Dame Stadium. And we all know the reasoning for that. November 14th, at home against Boston College, that should be a win. In addition to BYU and Miami, the only other game that I do have a little bit of nervousness about, SMU. Do not take SMU lightly. SMU is a solid team. They got a very good team. The only thing that makes me feel a little good about it is that it's at Notre Dame Stadium. If it was at SMU, then I would be nervous a little more. And then they end the year, November 28th, at Syracuse, the JMA Wireless Dome, formerly the Carrier Dome, in Syracuse, and that's the story there. It's national championship or bust. Marcus Freeman and a loaded roster look to use last season's exclusion as fuel for a revenge tour. Analysts project a best case 12-0 regular season, with the team favored in the vast majority of their matchups. Marcus Freeman aims to guide the Fighting Irish straight back into the expanded playoff field. Sophomore CJ Carr takes firm control of the offense as the unquestioned starter and a trendy Heisman candidate after a strong debut season. The team, they do have to move on from that two-headed monster at running back with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. But they do have 2 solid backups that are now running the show now. Aeneas Williams and Nolan James Jr. And then the receiving corps, deep group of wideouts led by Jordan Faison and Jaden Greathouse, bolstered by incoming transfers. Secondary is highlighted by star cornerback Leonard Moore, widely regarded as one of the nation's elite lockdown defenders. And of course, the highlights of the schedule, they kick it off Sunday night, September the 6th, against Wisconsin at Lambeau Field. Key marquee matchups include that huge road game at BYU on October 17th and that high-stakes home rematch against Miami Saturday night, November the 7th. So, since their college football playoff snub, Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman have been on the Leave No Doubt tour. Freeman has been relentless in his approach to get his players dialed in to right the wrong of last season. With the departure of Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, quarterback C.J. Carr will be the focus following his 2,741 passing yards and 24-6 touchdown to interception ratio in his debut season. Carr has the accuracy and moxie to mount a Heisman Trophy candidacy. Irish have an unusually high number of receivers from which to choose, led by last year's leading receiver, Jordan Faison. The national championship game standout, Jaden Greathouse and Micah Gilbert. Ohio State transfers, Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter, will also be significant factors. The O-line features two young rising star tackles in Guerby Lambert and Will Black. Third-year starter Anthony Knapp shifts to left guard from left tackle. The return to health of center Ashton Craig and guard Charles Jagosa would make this a dynamic front wall. Running backs Aeneas Williams and Nolan James Jr. I don't think they'll match the explosiveness of Love and Price, but they both have high burst and tackle-breaking ability. As far as defense goes, second-year defensive coordinator Chris Ash has a bevy of experience returning on the back seven, where linebackers Drake Bowen and Kingston Viliamu Asa, cornerback Leonard Moore, and safeties Adon Schuler and Bronte Johnson help lead the Irish to the nation's number 10 scoring defense, allowing 17.6 points a game. There are 21 interceptions in 12 games, fourth most nationally. Pair of defensive tackles, transfers, powerful Francis Brew from Pittsburgh. And we also got a guy from Oregon, 6'5", 330-pound Tion Gray. Joined forces with returnees Jason Onye and Elijah Hughes. Defensive end Bobakar Traore is set for national acclaim, while Bryce Young should be ready to put it all together. Alabama transfer Keon Keeley, who was committed to Notre Dame before signing with the Crimson Tide, has returned to the Irish fold. After 2 seasons of inconsistency, the Irish hope to stabilize their place kicking with former Purdue standout Spencer Porath, who converted 15 out of 17 field goals last year. For the second time in 3 years, the Irish have turned to an Australian punter, this time in Jasper Scaaffi. And that's what I can, and that's all I've got when it comes to it. So it's national championship or bust. I believe in this team. I think they're going to right the wrong from last year. Myself and our dear friends, the Keenans, especially Brian Keenan. You know, Brian and I have been talking a lot about Notre Dame lately during our daily chats on the phone, and I know if he were here, he would back me up with everything I just said. And this is a big year for Notre Dame. It really is. And to have all these experts going as far as to say that they think Notre Dame can win the whole thing, that makes me very excited, but it also makes me very nervous as well. So, but when you have big names like Kirk Herbstreit and Joey Galloway and Joel Klatt, just to name a few, those are 3 prominent names. But to have Kirk Herbstreit and Joel Klatt, 2 of the very best analysts in the game today, saying that they think Notre Dame's going to win the national championship, how do you argue that? How? So, personally, I want to see them run the table. I do. Will they? I really don't know. The absolute worst I could see this team finish is at worst 9-3, maybe 10-2. I mean, I'm iffy on SMU, but the 2 games that I'm the most nervous about are BYU and Miami. If they can go at least 1-1, or somehow, some way win both. I think the best chance for Notre Dame to make the playoff and avoid a controversy like last year, they got to go at least 11-1, or maybe even run the table. If they can do either of those, I like the chances. They opened number 4 in the preseason poll. Very good place to start. But as the old saying goes, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So, long story short, national championship or bust for Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Cannot wait. So not much more. MF, all the hoopla about Notre Dame, national championship or bust. Will they overcome getting their hearts ripped out by the committee at the last second?
I think you guys are going to be fine. I do believe they're going to go 11-1. They're going to lose to Miami. That is the game that they're going to lose. I got them winning every other game. I'm not worried about the BYU game. Not as much as you are. I think the BYU game is a winnable game. I think they're going to do that. SMU, same thing. I think the SMU game, is a winnable game. The one against Miami, Anthony, Miami's the national champion. I'm sorry. I'm calling it right here, right now. I think Miami is going to win the national championship, and they're going to knock out. And this is the game that I believe that's going to cement Miami as the national champion when they go into Notre Dame and take you out in your own house. Knowing what's at stake, knowing what's going on, Miami also, it felt like they got their hearts ripped when they lost to Indiana a year ago in the national championship game, and Mario Cristobal has etched that in the minds of his players that we need to get back here and we need to win this. So yeah, they're gonna hear the hoopla, they're gonna hear the noise, they're gonna hear all that stuff about how Miami was lucky to get through because of a technicality. Miami is just as mad at that all this hoopla, and hearing that Notre Dame is the favorite is going to fire Miami up. Like, oh, you think they're going to be the national champions? Hold my beer. And I think Miami is going to be angry at Notre Dame because of all the hype and everything else. And the one thing I've been hearing about Notre Dame is, my God, what a soft schedule this is. Like, and that's the one thing that I don't think has been talked about. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from the Notre Dame faithful saying, how dare me? But here's the thing. Wisconsin is not a great team. Rice, not a great team. Michigan State, not a great team. Purdue, not a great team. North Carolina, not a great team. Stanford, not a great team. Now, BYU is definitely a threat. You don't know how they're going to play, but I think Notre Dame can handle that. Again, you even said it, Anthony. Navy at Gillette. Notre Dame does great when they go outside of their stadium. When they're in a neutral site, they're right at home. Mm-hmm. Miami is the game. Miami also has circled that on blood red as well, because they are going to be the one that's going to prove to the nation, we are number one. We are the national championship contender, not Notre Dame. So you know they're going to be fired up. And all this chatter from Joe Clapp, from Kirk Herbstreit, from everybody across the board, how they're saying Notre Dame is the favorite, how Notre Dame's going to win the national championship, that is going to be bulletin board material for the Canes. And they are going to be fired up after this, They're going to be more angrier after this. So, yes, you have a right to be nervous about that game, Anthony, because this is the team that is, other than, like I said, if there's any team that could be the threat, this is your biggest threat. I
Absolutely.
think you're going to go 11-1. You're going to go 11-1. I'm not saying you're going to lose all these games. No, 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 no. You're going to beat BYU. You're going to beat SMU. I just don't think you can beat Miami. That's the only game I think you're going to get tripped up. If that's the case, 11-1, you're in the playoffs. No doubts in my mind, you're in, and you will get you won't get a top 4 seed because I don't know how the rules now go, because it used to be you had to be a conference champion in order to get it. Now I think it's like the top line. I think Notre Dame's a top 14. I think they're going to end up in a top 4 line. I think Notre Dame will be in the playoff. They will be a high seed in the playoff. I honestly think you're not even going to be playing that first round matchup. I think you're going to be playing a bowl game. Honestly, truthfully, I think Notre Dame's going to be playing a quarterfinal bowl game, and where they don't have to worry about who they got to play in round 1. Because I don't think they're going to have to play a round 1 game. I think they're going to be, like I said, in one of the top 4 slots. I think Miami will be in one of the top 4 slots as well. So that's where I stand with everything that's going on. 11-1, I think Miami's the game you're going to get tripped. I think that is the landmine. Just like there's an old game show that we used to watch way back when, which called Sex Wars, that had J.D. Roth and, back on the USA Network. The landmine is Miami. And definitely. I think Notre Dame, and I do believe Notre Dame is going to stand up, is going to hit that landmine, and they're going to get blown. They're going to get blown to bits. That's the one game that I'm a little worried about more than any other. I think Miami is going to be the one where they get tripped up. But other than that, I got them going 11-1, and I do believe they will make it to the playoff, and they're going to make it pretty easily. Even though I know a lot of people are going to start barking about, oh, the Notre Dame schedule is too damn easy. Why are you going to? Look, you got to play the games that you got to play. But the one thing that I have noticed that has annoyed a lot of people is how easy that schedule is. And I think that's the problem that Notre Dame is going to run into, is that this is a very weak schedule. The non-conference schedule is a little weak, but you got to play your games. You got to handle your business. I know Notre Dame will, but with the Miami game, that's why I think a lot of people are going to be like, okay, what's Miami going to do? Now you got real competition. Can you live up to that hype, or are you going to drown in that pressure? I'm sorry. As much as I am, and you know how much I love you, kid, and I love Brian Keenan and Mike Keenan, I don't think Notre Dame can hang with Miami. I think that there's levels to this thing. And I think Miami is right now, I believe, is the best team in college football. Non-SEC, non-Big Ten. I think you can put Notre Dame up there as one of the top 4, and I'll give you that. But I believe Miami is just as good, on par with Notre Dame. And I believe Miami will beat Notre Dame at South Bend in that stadium. They're going to hear that same noise about, oh, they didn't deserve to be in the playoff. And Miami's going to come out and is like, yes, we are. Yes, we did. And we're going to show it against Notre Dame. This is a proven game, and we're going to see. And I think Miami will prove that they did deserve to be in the playoff last year, just as much as I believe they're going to win the national championship this year. So that's it, Anthony. It's yours. Let's go. Let's get into the NFL.
If I can ask one more quick question about this Notre Dame thing quickly before we move on.
Sure.
What if Notre Dame beats Miami? Then what?
If Notre Dame beats Miami, then basically they run the table. They're gonna go 12-0. But again, now you're talking about the big boys in the Big Ten, the SEC. Once you get into the playoff, you're gonna have the number one overall seed, top seed in the playoff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they win the national championship. Again, there's layers to this, and I would feel confident if you're a Notre Dame fan if they run the table and go 12-0. But as far as winning the national championship, I don't know. Again, this schedule doesn't sell me that your team is a national championship contender. It doesn't. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be very honest with you on this.
Absolutely.
You talk about the three games that worries you. BYU, SMU, Miami. Granted, but BYU is not even the best team in their own conference. SMU is not the best team in their conference. Miami is the blueprint because Miami went all the way to the national championship game. They were just a couple of mistakes away from being the national champions.
Indeed.
This game on November 7th, in all attempted purposes, I'm going to call it and I'm going to hype this up. This is the de facto national title game. Whoever wins this game is most likely going to win the national championship this year.
Absolutely.
If Miami wins it, they're going all the way. If Notre Dame wins it, you can make an argument. That's at the moment. That will be the moment you can say, oh my God, we're going all the way. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind.
That's the game of the week. That
might not only be game of the week. This could be game of the year between Miami and Notre Dame. This could be game of the year, Anthony.
How about game of the century? How about game of the century?
I don't think game of the century, unless it's number one versus number two. Yeah, I think it's a little too far because I don't know for sure, but definitely this would be game of the year level.
Okay.
Or game of the season.
Yeah, and by the way, November 7th is hands down the most loaded day outside of rivalry.
Oh yeah.
Though.
Oh yeah.
And I cannot wait to get into those games on November the 5th on that Thursday night. But right now, let's quickly get into the NFL here. And I'm going to do it in that unusual way. I came across this one expert who ranked all the divisions from the Mothership website, and we're going to start from the least compelling division to the most compelling division. And we're going to start it off with the least compelling division, according to this reporter here. Started off with the NFC South, and for me, I got to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is my favorite in what could be another wide open division. Baker Mayfield has enough weapons around him, and the Buccaneers have the roster continuity I want to see from a team trying to make another playoff push. So I've got Tampa Bay winning the division. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers to finish second. The New Orleans Saints finished third, and the Atlanta Falcons finishing in last. And I just want to check my playoff teams. Did I just have them coming out of it? Yes, I did. Okay, so I have Tampa Bay winning the division. Nobody else coming out of it. Tampa wins it. Carolina second. New Orleans third. And Atlanta is fourth. So MF, NFC South, least compelling division. Who you got?
Tampa wins the division, no doubt about it. I disagree on one thing. I actually got New Orleans second. I got Carolina third, and I got Atlanta in dead last. But I do have the fact that I only got Tampa only as the representative going into the playoffs. I have nobody else as wild card. So that is actually true. So Anthony, it's yours.
MF, the next moving up to the seventh most compelling division, it's our division, the AFC East. And I think we all know why. It's a two-team race. Who comes out of it?
This one's going to be a little more interesting. You know what? Because of the schedule and everything else, I got Buffalo winning the division. I got New England in second. I got the Jets third. And I'm sorry, but Miami, this is not going to be the year. I think they're going to come in dead last. The team is absolutely on a rebuild. I don't believe that Miami will do very well this year. So that's my prediction on it. Buffalo wins the division. New England gets second and a wild card.
Yep.
Jets third. Miami fourth. But again, there's only two that comes out of this. I got Buffalo as the division champions. I got New England coming out as one of the three possible wild card spots. So, yep. So that's my prediction. Anthony, it's yours.
I'm right there with you. The Buffalo Bills remain the safest bet in this division. Josh Allen is still the centerpiece, but the biggest change comes with Joe Brady taking over as head coach and Jim Leonard running the defense. Buffalo also added DJ Moore to a receiving core that desperately needed another difference maker. The Bills won 12 games last season, and I expect them to remain near the top of the AFC. Second is the New England Patriots, and I have them as a wildcard team as well, MF. You're right. It's difficult to bet against the reigning AFC champions after what they accomplished last season. Drake May has another year of experience, and New England added A.J. Brown to an offense that already averaged 28.8 points a game in 2025. The Patriots will have enormous expectations, but I expect them to remain a serious contender. So New England is second and a wild card. I also have the Jets in third. And sorry, MF, I do have your Dolphins finishing in the basement here. Major rebuild for Miami. So Buffalo takes back the AFC East after New England snapped their 5-year winning streak a year ago. New England finishes second, but gets a wild card spot. I definitely see them as a wild card team, absolutely. The Jets finish third, and the Dolphins finish in the basement. Moving on to our... Oh, I had my thing here. Okay. Next division coming in at number 6. Staying in the AFC, we're going to go to the AFC South. It's Houston. The Houston Texans are one of the most difficult teams to project. They went 12-5 last season and have an outstanding defense. But C.J. Stroud needs to rediscover his rookie form. Houston also completely revamped its offensive line and added David Montgomery to improve the running game. If the line finally stabilizes, the Texans could be a serious Super Bowl contender. In second, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I also have them as a wild card team. Jacksonville won 13 games last season and remains one of the AFC's most intriguing teams. Travis Etienne is gone, leaving Bayshul Tootin and others to replace his production, while Travis Hunter's two-way role will be fascinating to watch. If Brian Thomas Jr. takes a step forward and Parker Washington continues his ascent, this offense could be dangerous. So Jacksonville is second and a wild card. I have the Indianapolis Colts finishing third. And in the basement, once again, I'm sorry, I got the Tennessee Titans. So it's Houston winning the division, Jacksonville second and a wild card team, Indianapolis third, and Tennessee in the basement. MF, AFC South, what says you?
Partial disagreement. I actually got the top two flipped. Jacksonville's winning the division. I got Houston second, but I do got them as a wild card, so they're in.
Okay.
Third I actually got Tennessee third, and I got Indianapolis dead last. And it's going to be close. It's going to be very close because and as a matter of fact, the only reason why, and actually, here's a crazy thing. I actually got Indy and Tennessee at 7 and 10 identical records, but I give Tennessee over because I do believe Tennessee's going to win the season series. I think they're going to sweep Indianapolis. So the two games that they play, I got them sweeping them. So I think that's why. Plus, the schedule early on for Indy is brutal. And I think that's why I think they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose out because early in the season you got to Indianapolis got to play the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Texans in the first 3 weeks. You're done, Andy. You're going down. Yeah. So that's why I'm doing that. But I got Jacksonville winning the division. I got Houston second, but they get the wild card, so that's the second wild card spot. Three is Tennessee. 4 is Indy. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Okay. Interesting standings there. But we'll see what happens. Number 5 most compelling division. The division that we used to jokingly call back in the day the Joe Buck and Troy Aikman division. The NFC East. Who's coming out of it?
Dallas. I got the Dallas Cowboys winning the division. I think they, and I know you're going to hear, Dallas is going to make the Super Bowl. You got the division. You're getting the division.
Easy there, Romeo.
I don't know about Super Bowl yet, but I do believe Dallas has the most complete team. I think Dak Prescott will finally turn things around, and I think that they're going to win the division. I got them winning it all. Second, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that, they're going to be a little bit more rough around this. Third is the New York Giants. I think the John Harbaugh thing is going to work. I think John Harbaugh is going to make the team a little better, but not as great as, the last few years. And finally, I got the Washington Commanders in 4th. And the only reason why is I think it's going to be a rough year for Jalen Daniels and everything else. I just don't know if they're going to have what it takes to kind of take that next step. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And oh, by the way, just to let you know, you fine folks know, Dallas is the lone team coming out of this division. No wild cards coming out of the NFC East other than Dallas. So that's my prediction. Anthony, it's yours.
A slight disagreement here, but I do agree with you when it comes to Dallas. I'm also taking the Cowboys to win the NFC East. Dallas addressed a major weakness on defense by adding Rashawn Gary, Von Miller, a full season from Quinnen Williams, and using 3 high picks on defensive players, including safety Caleb Downs. If Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb stay healthy, this offense should be good enough to make Dallas a playoff team. I have Dallas winning the division. I have Philadelphia finishing 2nd. I actually have Washington finishing 3rd. I'm not as high on John Harbaugh as you are, MF, but considering this is a brand new team, I mean, we all know the great success he had in Baltimore. Absolutely. All those playoff appearances led him to a Super Bowl title and all that. But I'll believe it when I see it. That's all I'm going to say. I'll believe it when I see it. If the Giants do play well on the John Harbaugh. But for right now, Dallas wins the NFC East. Philadelphia is 2nd. Washington is 3rd. And the Giants in last until I see otherwise. And yes, MF, you're right. Dallas is the only. I also have Dallas as the only team coming out of the East. But I will say this: don't sleep on Philadelphia. They may have lost AJ Brown, but Philly's still got a pretty dangerous team. So if Philly gets a wild card or actually wins the division, I wouldn't be at all surprised. I wouldn't. All right. Now we go to the upper echelon divisions now. Coming in as the number 4 ranked division, the AFC North. Taking a look at the AFC North. Well, I mean, a lot of back and forth here. I've been thinking about this, but I still have to go with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are my pick to bounce back after an ugly 8-9 season. John Harbaugh is gone, and MF, your old friend Jesse Minter, takes over. While Lamar Jackson gets a new offensive coordinator in Declan Doyle, Baltimore also added Trey Hendrickson, and they could get Nnamdi Madubuike back, potentially transforming a defense that struggled badly last year. So I have the Baltimore Ravens winning the AFC North. Second is the Cincinnati Bengals and I have Cincinnati as a wild card team. Joe Burrow's health remains the biggest variable, but Cincinnati finally appears serious about fixing its defense. The Bengals added Jonathan Allen, Boy Mafe, Brian Cook, and Kyle Duggar before acquiring Dexter Lawrence. If Joe Burrow stays healthy, this could be a dangerous team. In third, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. And of course, in the basement, as usual, it is the Cleveland Browns. So Baltimore wins the division. Cincinnati is second with a wild card. Pittsburgh third. Cleveland four. MF AFC North.
All right, here's my breakdown on this one. First, I got is the Baltimore Ravens. Agreed. I think there's definitely going to be a good season for them. Ravens should win the division. Second, this is where I disagree. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers second, and I got Pittsburgh as one of the wild card teams. I think Pittsburgh makes the playoffs, so I got them making the playoffs. Third, Cincinnati misses the playoffs, and I know this is going to set Jake Turner off on me. I'm gonna feel the nightmare coming at me for this call. Jake Turner's coming after my ass for this. I just don't think Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati. I just don't know if they're going to be healthy enough to make it to the end, and plus, the schedule gets a little rough towards the end, so I don't know if they're going to make it at the end. And then obviously in the basement is the Cleveland Browns, so I do agree with that. So, all right, Anthony, next division.
Coming in at number 3, the AFC West. MF, Denver, surprised us all last year, won it all. Can they do it again? Will Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers have something to say about it? Or will the big bad Chiefs sit back on top of the throne once again?
Ooh, this one's tough. I think Kansas City wins it. This is tough because, again, it all depended on Patrick Mahomes and his health, but he looks like he's back and he looks better than ever. And that's a scary thought. And now you also added Kenneth Walker III, the MVP from this past Super Bowl. You can't go against the Chiefs. It's hard to go against them. So I got Kansas City winning the division. I got Denver second and getting a wild card. I do believe they're going to get through. I got the Chargers third, and I'm sorry, they're not making the playoffs. And I got the Raiders basically in dead last. But I do believe the Raiders will be better than what they were last year. I think now that they got Fernando Mendoza, I think it's going to be a good start for the Raiders, where you're going to see the maturation of a team that's going to start to look like a dangerous team. They're a couple of years away. So year one is the rebuild, and I think they're going to take steps in the right direction to start that rebuild for the AFC West. So Raiders in dead last, Chargers in third, Broncos second with a wild card, and the Chiefs are gonna once again ascend the throne and be the top team in the AFC West. Anthony, it's yours.
Slight disagreement. I have Denver. Denver is my pick to win the AFC West. The Broncos went 14-3 last season, largely kept their roster intact, and added your old buddy Jalen Waddle, MF, to give Bo Nix another elite weapon. The biggest question is Bo Nix's health after his ankle injury. But if he's healthy, I believe, with all due respect, Denver has the most complete roster in the AFC West. I have them in first. I do have Kansas City finishing second. I do have them getting a wild card spot. The Chiefs are coming off a stunning 6-11 season, so there's nowhere to go but up. Patrick Mahomes remains the ultimate reason for optimism, but Kansas City has more questions than we've seen in years. I expect a bounce-back season, just not another dominant run through the division. In third is the Los Angeles Chargers, and in last, it is the Las Vegas Raiders. So Denver wins the division. Kansas City second with a wild card. Chargers in third, just missing the playoffs. And Vegas, of course, finishing in the basement. Coming in at number 2, the NFC Norris, the NFC North. So taking a look at the NFC North, very tough to call. Very, 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 very tough to call. But I got to go with Chicago. Caleb Williams entering 3 with Ben Johnson should be fascinating. And Chicago already showed last season that they can win close games. The Bears won the division at 11-6 last year, and I expect them to remain near the top of the NFC. In second, and with a wild card. Actually, no. But maybe we'll see. In second is the Detroit Lions. Detroit remains a legitimate contender and will have an easier schedule this season than last. The offensive line has undergone changes, but Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra St. Brown lead one of the league's best offenses. And then we got the Green Bay I got the Green Bay Packers finishing third, and I have the Minnesota Vikings finishing in last. So I'm going with Chicago to win it. I got Detroit second, Green Bay third, Minnesota last. Will they be wild card teams? They could be, but I don't know just yet. We got it. I'll hold judgment on that until a month or two into the season, right around the halfway mark, and then I'll get back to you on that. But for right now, it's Chicago 1, Detroit 2, Green Bay 3, Minnesota 4, MF, NFC Norris. How's it look to you?
Detroit wins division. That's my prediction. I got Detroit winning the division. Because of the easy schedule, I think they're going to get 12 wins. I got Chicago second at 11 and a wild card. I think they get in. Third, I disagree. I got the Minnesota Vikings. I think offensively, yes, Kyler Murray being the starter is going to be very interesting. But the one thing is they still got Justin Jefferson. They still got a really good defense. And they actually got one of the best defenses in the NFL because it's led by former Miami Dolphin head coach Brian Flores. And that defense is going to be a problem. And I think a lot of people are kind of dismissing it. And in last place, I got the Green Bay Packers. So, yes, I do believe that when it's all said and done, it will be Detroit 1, Chicago 2 with a wild card. 3 will be Minnesota, and 4 is Green Bay. So I think the last division, by process of elimination, would be the NFC West.
Number 1.
If I'm correct, yes.
Yeah. NFC West comes in as the most compelling division, and I think we all know why, MF. 3-team race.
3-team race. You know what? I'm going to say it. LA Rams. That's the team I think is going to win it. I think the Rams are going to win it. I got them predicted at 13 wins for the season. I think they're going to have a really good season, and I really think that they're going to get the job done. Second, the reigning, defending, undisputed world champions, the Seattle Seahawks. I think that they're gonna have 12 wins on the season. Wild card for them. Third, I actually have is the San Francisco 49ers coming in third. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Obviously, as long as they stay healthy, that's gonna be the biggest thing for the Niners. And then in dead last is the Arizona Cardinals. But here's the thing, Anthony. I got 2 teams coming out as wild cards. I got Seattle and I got San Francisco. I think they're both going to make it. I think they're both getting in. So that's where it breaks down for me. So there's really nothing more to add. So I got LA winning it. I got Seattle and San Francisco both getting wild cards. And I got Arizona dead last. It's yours.
You nailed it right on the head. The Rams are my pick to win the NFC West. Heck, I think they might win the whole dang NFC, honestly. Sean
Yeah,
McVay has one of the league's best
there's a
offenses.
good chance.
Ma- Sean McVay has one of the league's best offenses. Matthew Stafford continues to play at a high level. Oh, by the way, he won MVP last year. And you
Yes, he
also
did.
added, I don't know, some guy named Myles Garrett, who I heard is pretty good. So,
Mm.
yikes.
And they also may have just added Aaron Donald back on the team. Oh no.
Oh, it's over.
Oh
It's over,
no.
baby. It's over. Adding Myles Garrett gives an already talented roster another elite difference maker. The schedule is brutal, but this team is built to handle it. Second is the Seattle Seahawks. I also have them as a wild card team as well. The defending Super Bowl champions deserve plenty of respect. Seattle returns much of the roster that won the championship, and Jackson Smith and Jigba gives the offense a legitimate number one target. I expect another strong season, even if repeating as Super Bowl champions proves difficult. Third place and also a wild card team, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers could be healthier this season, which would make a major difference. Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Mike Evans, George Kittle, and Nick Bosa give San Francisco enough star power to make another playoff run. Staying healthy is the biggest question. And coming in last, yes, MF, you're right. It is the Arizona Cardinals, obviously. So there's not much else to say here. So Rams win the division. Seattle second with a wild card. San Francisco third, also with a wild card. And then rounding it out, it is the Arizona Cardinals. All right. So before we wrap up here, a couple of announcements here. At some point within the next couple of weeks, I will be bringing back our TXN Sports World. It's no longer Pigskin Pick'em. It's now known simply as NFL Pick'em. On ESPN.com, I'll be posting the link if anybody wants to join. You're more than welcome to. We're hoping for a big turnout here. Brian Keenan, our dear friend, is a defending champion. So we'll see if Brian can make it 2 in a row, or maybe I take the reins back, or maybe MF takes the reign back, or Bullock, or maybe someone out of nowhere wins it. You never know. So we'll get into that. And so within the next couple of weeks or so, I will be posting the links. So be on the lookout for it. All right. So there's that. So before we get into the big time future content, MF, set the table for tomorrow night. We got the Cerebral Smack Talk, live TNA, taped SmackDown, and NXT. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, it's going to be the Heat Wave pay-per-view that's going down this weekend, and we're going to preview that for you guys. So we have all that. It's going to happen. We're basically right now, I'm penciling it for 10 o'clock after SmackDown goes off the air.
Very
we will
good.
go live for that episode, and we will have it ready to go. If for some reason that we need to push it back a half an hour, we may. But we're gonna try to get it at 10 on the dot. So just keep your eyes peeled. It should be between 10 and 10:30, but we are going live tomorrow night with that episode. So that's it.
Good.
Anthony, it's yours.
Excellent. Yeah, because I've got a family commitment on Saturday, and I like to keep that night open. So let's try to get that show in tomorrow night, if possible. So, all right. So you heard MF. Tomorrow night, 10:30, Cerebral Smack Talk, TNA Impact, which was a rare live show tonight with some major headlines and some surprises that came out of that. We'll tell you about that tomorrow. We've also got the Cerebral Smack Talk, which was taped this past Monday night as part of that double taping with Raw in Ottawa, and then we'll preview the NXT Heat Wave, and then Tuesday, Ridiculously Raw. I'm sure we'll get into the Heat Wave then. And then we'll talk about Monday Night Raw and NXT as usual. 1 week from tonight, the season premiere of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday. And the headline game, as we all know, it's Clemson and LSU. Of course, other notable games, Louisville against Ole Miss, and Notre Dame and Wisconsin at Lambeau. Just some of the games we'll get into for the season premiere next Thursday. And then we'll take it from there. So that's it. So until tomorrow night, for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Bracefan 95, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, Michael Bullock. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night, for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching our regulation season finale of TXN Sports World right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long and bye, everybody. Bye.